project. So I will start with you, Bill, right? And then if Dr. Cook or anyone else wants to jump in, does that sound okay?
Yes, great.
All right, great.
You know, we all know that the money was approved. In the last 6 months, we've been working on the sort of the final design or layout with the three principals and Dr. Cook and Gail Dolly-Hench to come up with what we think is the best modifications to the school. At this point, I'm working on the RFP. I think we need to go out very quickly if we want to try to do the work the summer of 23 into the fiscal year 23-24. So that is our schedule. I would like to put the RFP out next week and make the selection, you know, really by the end of the month, and hopefully have somebody on board the 1st of April, first or second week in April. We talked about maybe a selection committee would be the facilities committee. It's not going to be as elaborate as the new school. I don't think it has to be as intense. You know, so it'll be modified, maybe review a scope with the architects that submit. We'll review and decide, you know, who we want to interview and how many we want to interview. Because we're not getting reimbursement, we don't have to follow the strict guidelines of the state, but we will follow guidelines to, you know, review professional services and have a committee that makes a selection. And it will be, once the committee makes the recommendation, we'll go to the Board of Selectmen for the appointment, you know, for the final. So, and they meet on April 12th. So, you know, if all goes well, we could have them on board by the 12th. And the key is to finalize the design so that we can bid out the work in the fall. So we can get the majority of the work done next summer. So that's the plan. I did not bring any kind of presentation to go over those plans. I thought it was a little premature, but you know, if you were interested, I could happily do that at a later date.
So just to confirm, that would be the timeline to get the RFP out next week.
Yep.
Selection by end of March.
Yes.
And then the design finalization. Who does that work exactly?
So the architectural firm would do the final design.
Once the contract is awarded.
Yes, once we award them, and I'm thinking it's, you know, 3 to 4 months to get the design done. So, you know, and you know, bidding the work out would be early fall, because we really want to have the contracts in place before the end of the calendar year for the contractors, so they can get the supplies and get what they need. So the time frame for material is just significantly longer than it always has been. Usually, if we had a contract by January, February, we're in good shape for the summer. That's not the case anymore.
It's just because it's taking so long.
Yes, material.
Okay.
You know, electrical parts, doors and hardware, some carpets and ceiling tile.
Yeah.
So those are, you know, long lead items. Just getting stuff.
I have a question then, if anyone else from the committee. So thinking of the facilities committee as serving the purpose of like the selection committee.
Yes.
Would you recommend that we add a meeting to our March calendar?
So the next meeting is April 5th, which would probably be too late. So I'm hoping that I can email you once I have a, you know, hard date.
Okay.
I'm thinking the first week in March. No, the week of the 21st. I have it written down here. So it's going to go up, and it'll be back the week of the 21st. So if we could meet.
Well, you'd be probably looking at like a daytime meeting to interview.
I would like to expedite it, and we could do a Zoom, or we could do a daytime meeting. If that works out for you guys, that'd be great. And I could set it up. We could really set the date right now, that week of the 21st. And we could I can make because we haven't put the RFP out, I can make it meet that.
I think we could make a
Yes.
daytime meeting work for our committee. we have that sort of flexibility, especially if we can plan ahead.
Yeah,
I
so,
think that would be ideal, and if given enough notice, we can certainly do that.
okay, and so you want to talk about the date later? I'm thinking the 22nd or the 23rd. Those work for you, Dr. Cook?
That week is completely booked with. Other things that we don't.
Yeah. Not that you're not valuable, but maybe we could have one of the principals sitting for you, or.
Right.
And we could change it and push it back. It doesn't, I'm pushing hard for a short turnaround,
Yeah,
and, I need to get it out next week, which I'm very confident that I will. And I don't think it's a long turnaround for the architectural firms. They're gonna get proposals. It's not that complicated. They all know what's coming on. They see I think we'll have a good turnout. And I don't think the interviews are gonna be that long or that complicated. It's and I'm gonna ask for pricing. So we're really gonna qualify the firms and select probably from the lowest qualified firm. So I don't think it's gonna be that complicated, but we definitely want to review as a group.
What we could do is we could get some open dates and then have Wendy do like a doodle poll of the whole
Yeah.
group and figure out like an exact, a couple options.
Yeah.
works.
Okay.
Yeah, but I think we can shoot for an in-person meeting
Okay.
during the day, or, yeah, that's fine.
Yeah, that'd be great. So that's coming really quickly, and I think we're ahead of the game. I think we really have a good concept down, and we just need to finalize the plan. So we can get it out.
Any comments or questions from the committee about that project, or anything that Bill just mentioned?
Just one reason to share why Bill's doing that, so thank you to Bill for pushing it along, is that the difference between starting in summer of 2023 and summer of 2024 is about $500,000, we're told, as an estimate. Could be more. And we just were told that a couple days ago, because Bill's been right on this beforehand, and then certainly after the referendum being passed. So we want to make sure we do that. It will also, I think, relieve some stressors and bottlenecks and other things going on, and allow us to focus on Polson. But this is obviously work that has to be done before September of 2025. But it's also some work that could happen while the school is going on session. So we're hoping to get that completed well before that, and then concentrate on other parts of ground school and other projects.
Thank you for pointing that out. The financial situation was one of the key factors,
That's significant.
definitely. And, because of the location of the school, we could separate it from the students and won't disturb the school, which is a key issue.
To separate the work, like in that wing, you mean?
Yes,
Yeah, that's really, and even like separate entrances,
definitely. They can come around the back.
yeah.
So, and we anticipate, there's going to be some major construction, and we anticipate doing that during the summer.
Mhm.
Concrete work, excavation, jackhammering, all that stuff will be during the off school time. And then maybe some minor painting and finish work, the stuff that's not going to be as noisy or disruptive could be done during the school year. So, yeah, a lot of things happen very quickly. One, reviewing the project, the cost, and we just, came to that conclusion just recently that we thought we should push for it to move faster than we originally thought.
Makes sense. Other comments or questions from the committee? Stephen? Okay, thank you, Bill. Anything you need from us before? I know we're going to schedule that meeting for the week of the 21st of March, but is there anything else that you need from the facilities committee at this time?
Not for this project at all.
Moving on to the Polson improvement project.
So the Polson Improvement Project, that is in this building right here, and it's primarily heating and ventilation and electrical work. It's a significant job. I think it's going to be, out of all the three projects we have, this project, Polson, and the new school, this one's going to be the most complicated and the most specific to energy and mechanical. We're going to need some architectural services, but to me, it's not the traditional hire an architect to help with the design. It's more hire a professional engineering firm that has background in, renewable energy, energy improvements. And I need to do some investigation on what's the best process for that. I don't think it's going to be the standard hire an architectural firm and go. So I just need to spend more time on it. I've been focusing on these two projects, this and the new school, to really have a good structure on that. But that is going to be one of the more intense things. And it's the whole school. Like even though Brown School is the whole school with bathrooms and doors, it's only bathrooms and doors. This is the mechanical system for the whole school. And half of this school doesn't have any air conditioning. So that you're talking about making ducts or making air conditioning in the other half of the building, which is not going to be a simple task. So that's the biggest job we have. And we did not, the budget was for replacing in kind what we have plus 100% air conditioning. So we talked about and looked at the renewable energy, but we didn't improve the budget to compensate for that. So we need to look at that. We'll maybe look at some grants. So we have a big job ahead of us on that. Believe me, we can do a lot of work for the $20 million. I'm not uncomfortable with that. I'm uncomfortable with, the newer technologies, if we wanted to do geothermal, if we wanted to do, the more environmentally positive ones. So I'll get back to you on that, but at this point, I don't really have a plan or a schedule to tell you when I'm going to start work, who I'm hiring, and what the process is.
One of the complications with the potential geothermal is that would go, we believe, under the baseball field that is currently there. Baseball field is a CIP project anticipated. So, trying to minimize any downtime, but also take advantage of the opportunity that's happening at the same time, and coordinate. And so it is a lot of work. And as well, there's money in there for the auditorium work. It's a major project as well, with lots of lead time for equipment there. So rightfully so, Bill concentrated on Brown, knowing that we had to make sure that worked to be able to bring the referendum to referendum. But now we're at a point where we can concentrate on this project as well.
Yes, definitely. So, my priority was the new school and the Brown school. They both have to be complete 100% at the same time. This, we'd like it to be done, but it's not tied to the same schedule in my mind. And then the other factor of this school is that we, the Board of Ed, have agreed to make this a shelter. And so there is funding for the generator for the shelter. I've already had a meeting with the first select woman and Sam DeBurr, our emergency manager, on moving this generator up. And they wanted to talk about helping with that project and the funding we had. And it was an interesting conversation because I'm concerned about this. And that's very important, and I want to do both. But how much funding do we have, and can it help that project? Can this work together? We can definitely get some value added if we do it at the same time. So that makes it a little more complicated, too. So that's a factor that I need to bring in the fold. So we will definitely be working with the town at the same time for this shelter, for this to be a shelter, and put a generator here, which will benefit us, so that would be helpful to the school. So that's going to be an exciting project in itself.
So does this plan get informed by COVID and air exchange and, cutting edge air handling, ultraviolet, any of that stuff? Is that informing this plan at all?
I anticipate all those items to be folded into this plan, be reviewed and decided whether, what's the cost and the benefit added. Definitely indoor air quality and airflow is going to be one of the priorities to it, for sure. No doubt about it. And, since we did the original plan and now with COVID and these new intense air issues, that's another concern. We didn't add value to that in dollars, but we're going to make that happen. So, my feeling is if we have to not air condition the gyms and get the school space better quality and better airflow and a better project, that's what we did at Brown. We didn't air condition the big spaces, then we went back and did them later, and we've never done the gym at the Brown school. And I don't think that's a bad idea. I think, what do you need to air condition the gym for? It's a nice to have. but it's not necessary. I think you need to air condition, and you have to have high air quality in the classrooms and the learning spaces where they're in all day. So lots of ideas, and yes, we're going to address those issues. So that's Polson.
The other piece that opens up to us too is we may be well positioned based on having a project already approved to work with the state on the new announcement. Governor Lamont announced a $90 million plus funding to support air quality in schools.
Yeah.
And so we're hoping it talks about matching funds. And so we know 90 million doesn't go too far in the state, but if we ever could get a portion of that, we certainly would then be able to do with more, especially the cost of trying air conditioned gyms, or do have more money available for the auditorium project.
In the geothermal.
Right.
And, maybe put some more solar up, all good stuff. I think it's exciting. This project alone is pretty intense, and it's going to be very exciting, but we have two other ones that, need to take the priority, I think. And I think we can get them all done. It's just, we'll figure out the right professional services to help us. And that's the big deal, is who to select. And I have some contacts. I just haven't followed up with them yet. And I, once I do, I'm going to bring it to the facilities committee and discuss it with you about my ideas and thoughts, and, make sure you guys agree with the way we're going.
At some point, we had that Gantt chart before all the projects, and will we be revisiting that and updating it?
Sure.
That's helpful to see, especially, as we add these different things to the mix.
No problem. Happy to do that. I'll have a Gantt chart for each project.
That'd be really nice. I think visually, and also possibly to share with the community too, that sort of
Absolutely.
visualization and how things are happening with existing schools and the impact on the school year. So
Yeah, I'll absolutely have that for each project. Once I finalize the professional services and get them on board, you will definitely have that.
Great, thank you.
Any other questions on the Polson project?
Yeah, we're good though, thank you.
Okay. Want to do my general facilities update?
Yes, please.
I guess the first thing I would talk about is the new school. I'm involved in the new school. We have the RFP out, as most of you already know, for the request for owner's representation. I think that's a great move, and I think that we're moving very quickly on that. It went out last week. They're back in. They're due on the 16th of this month. We're going to have a meeting hopefully on Friday the 18th to select a short list, to set up some interviews. And at the same time frame, I hope that they're selected and on board by the beginning of April for the Board of Selectmen's 12th meeting. That's my goal. I think that's doable. On the committee, myself, the superintendent, the director of finance, the public works director, the first select woman, the chairman of the Board of Education, and Jean Fitzgerald from
Vice
the board.
chair of the Board of Finance.
Yeah.
Yep.
So I've been in contact with everybody. They all know the schedule. They've seen the RFP. I'm very excited about that. Today was the optional site walk the site if you're interested in seeing the site. We had 3 firms show up. That was nice. And I know that the Board of Selectmen met last night with the draft charge of the building committee. And, I was there, and there's going to be 7 members, and then people from the Board of Selectmen, Board of Education, and the Board of Finance as liaisons, 2 alternates. That's the draft. And I believe they're going to adopt that and make the charge, I think, on their March 8th meeting, if not the next one. So they're moving fast, which I think we need to. It's the same problem. We need the architect on board. To start the design, if we want to try to get the job going, bid it out. I mean, we don't have a ton of time, and the design and architectural is like 17 months. So that's a long time.
Well, plus we have to have an application into the state by like June 22nd or something like that.
Yes, Dr. Cook and I are working on that separately.
Okay.
Outside this, and we're the Board of Selectmen need to 3 resolutions and appoint the building committee before we can apply. So there's a couple steps. We're ready to submit, but we need the Board of Selectmen to do a few things for us And we've given those to them, and I believe they're gonna do it at the March 8th meeting, and there's resolutions, and the committee has to be appointed. Basically, those are the two things we're waiting for. Everything else is in place. So it's only a matter of time before we submit. I think we'll be ready in April. I'm suggesting that, maybe I might be May at the latest. We're definitely not gonna wait till June.
No,
Dr. Cook, did I miss anything? I think we're pretty good
No,
on
that's
that.
great. Like you said, I mean, we've been kind of building up to this for a long time, you know,
Yeah.
with the thought that we would have a positive referendum. So in terms of like the enrollment projections report, that's already completed. That's a big piece that we'd have to submit to the state, so.
Yeah, and we did with the property, we felt we were going to get the property. We felt that we needed to do some work. We've been doing some monitoring, groundwater monitoring on the site. So, you know, that would be an extra year, because you have to monitor between November and in the spring. So we've been monitoring all winter and now, so we're gonna save a year worth of the design for the septic. So we've been doing a lot of work behind the scenes that no one really would understand. But it's, you know, we've been doing a lot, and I think I'm excited, and I think it's gonna go very well. We're gonna have issues like we always have in construction, but I think we've looked forward enough to line it up. I think so it'll start running.
excellent.
So that's the new school. The Polson entryway here, main hallway, and the front office. You know, we approved the line transfers at the finance. I believe the Board of Education, if they approve it tonight, I will award 100% of the work for the main contract for the entry and the courtyard. I will also purchase the carpet and the ceiling tile. That takes a long time to do. And then if we have the funding at the end of the year, we can move for the, you know, basically the completion of the labor and the rest of the work in the hallway. We'll have 100% of that committed.
Great.
But we don't yet. We have the 100% of the courtyard and the office once the line transfer is approved tonight, if it's approved. And then we'll need some more funding for the rest of the hallway. But we will buy the material, so we'll have that ahead of time, so it won't delay the project if we do go forward. The Brown School, we had already committed to 100% of the entryway in the courtyard. It was a smaller project, so the funding wasn't as robust. So those two projects, I believe we're going to be able to finish this summer, and I think they're going to make a big difference in the front entry of both the schools. Any questions about either one of those?
Sounds great. Thank you for keeping us updated on those projects.
No problem. So part of the also line transfer is the furniture for the elementary school. We wanted to try to buy new furniture for the elementary school, planning on bringing it all up to Brown School when they move. We found some places, there's going to be that, mean old furniture. What are we going to do with the old furniture? And in the past, we have found places to donate it to. Dr. Cook found another place. I contacted him today and they got right back to me. They're excited about the furniture. So, you know, we don't want to throw the stuff away, although it's not really, you know, great for us. And, you know, we want to try to change furniture and make it more, I forget what the right word is, but user friendly. So,
Good.
but it still, I think, has value, and they'll take it and donate it to some other needy place. So I'll have more to come on that. I'll bring what we're giving away, who we're giving it to, once we determine that as facts. Yeah, and if you're interested, I can go over some, you know, facility issues we're having with some of the buildings.
Well, the leak in the Jeffrey kindergarten classroom was repaired, I understand.
Yes, the leak in the Jeffrey school, it was a significant leak, much bigger than I had anticipated. I brought them up to fix it. We decided that it was the repair that they had planned wasn't significant enough. We held them off the 2 days that we had over the February break. We ripped off a significant amount of roof and replaced it. It's too bad because it's, you know, it costs us a lot of money, but now that room won't leak. You know, that's a problem. Water indoor air quality issues, it's, just a problem.
Yeah, it's gonna last 2 more years.
Yeah, so that section will last way more than that, but unfortunately,
That's actually before.
Exactly.
so the other issues that we have, because of age, the modular units, we put it in 2000. I was here when we put those in. And unfortunately, the rooftop units are old and they're failing. So, and they cost significant. So right now, the ones that we're having some problems with the town campus learning center units. So we're replacing them at significant cost. So, and when I talked to Mark, who runs my maintenance operations, so how many units are down there? 6. He goes, Bill, but don't forget the ones at the Jeffrey School too. I'm like, all right. So, we only need 3 years left, but if they don't work, we need to fix them. So, and when they majorly fail, you got to really replace the whole unit. So we're having some problems there.
Were they both put on around the same time?
Yes, 2000.
Both
Both.
schools.
Both
Okay.
And are the
schools.
units at both campuses failing or just TCLC?
Well, TCLC, they're the same year. So,
Okay, so if one's,
if one's going, they're all going. So
Okay, the others.
we'll, I'm optimistic. I'm more optimistic. I think that we'll, there's 6 down there. There's probably not as many at the Jeffrey School because there's not as many classrooms.
Mhm.
So maybe half, maybe there's
Can you
4.
get enough duct tape?
Yeah. Duct tape. Yes.
yeah,
That'll do it.
So Jeffrey roof, Jeffrey modulars, town campus modulars has some issues. And we're continuing to work on the high school air conditioning. It's been giving us a hard time. I did a study, as you know. I have some suggestions and ideas to, stay on top of it, but it's going to cost us a lot of money and we're just going to have to pay for it. It's maintaining and taking care of it. I don't know why, but, I always compared the high school and the Brown School. Brown School was 1 year later. And we have really had no issues at Brown School and significant issues at the high school. So it is what it is,
these are the HVAC units on the
Yeah.
on the roof.
Yeah, so the next CIP plan, which will be July of next year when we submit a new one, I'm probably gonna recommend, the replacement of those sooner than I had originally thought. And we could discuss as a committee if we want to try to phase it or not, because it's significant money. And then the last thing I had, there was some issues, you emailed me, there was some issues in the ladies' room with products.
Mhm.
And I think it was just, time and addressing concerns. I think the principal of the high school has really took the lead with the students.
Okay,
And they came up with some products that they'd like to see and new product dispensers.
okay,
And so he's working with Bob Burr, our chief custodian, and we're gonna buy and install whatever they need. And they'll come out for no cost. I mean, because they were a quarter or a nickel or a dime or a quarter.
oh, so now you have to pay for it.
We're not gonna pay for it because we don't want to deal with the money. I don't know why we ever did the money.
Yeah,
And it wasn't really clear who was handling it, so we
Yeah.
made it really clear now. The school picked out products that they want, working with the students.
great,
We'll buy the products, we'll install them both here and at Polson. And
And
we'll
yeah.
work,
Polson and Daniel Hand.
yes,
Okay.
Polson and Danahan, and we'll work with the principals to make sure that whatever bathrooms they want them in will be in. So it'll be a non-issue.
And what's the timeline for that?
Didn't talk about a timer.
Okay, but it is a work in progress, and students have been involved with it.
Yes, and I just turned it over to Bob the other day. They just told me what they wanted. I'm thinking he was gonna have the guy come out tomorrow. I said, no, make sure you get the product that they want.
Yes, for sure,
So
Yep.
we're talking within weeks.
great,
Within weeks, it'll be done. And if I had to, I could bring it out tomorrow, but my concern is that I get the product that they've requested.
now you need to make it work for the students.
Yes, so that when I get more people involved, it just takes longer.
Okay,
So I can't commit to that until I find out what they want exactly, or that we get the product that they recommended.
great. And you had mentioned, Dr. Cook, that was a part of a student project
Yeah, it was a
also?
student's
That was-
project, civic
okay.
action project that was,
A civic action project?
yeah, that was working on the same time the other concern came up and so dovetailed well. And I think it was a good solution. It goes back to the student work. So I think that was a great way for Bill to get involved and
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's one of the reasons I think it took a little longer than we would normally fix something, because the students were involved and the principal was involved. So they were meeting on the side,
Got it.
tell us what they wanted,
Yep.
So, which was fine, you know, we'd rather do it the right way and keep everyone happy, so.
Yeah.
There was definitely student involvement.
That's great. That's
Yeah.
nice.
No one really cares change anymore.
No.
No, I, you know, and it was been like that forever,
Yeah,
and so I think
just
that.
another barrier.
Yeah, it was just a problem.
Yeah.
So, I mean, we resolved it.
Good.
It was not a big deal in, you know, just making sure everyone is happy with what we get.
Right, and then being aware of the availability.
Yes,
That's
make
great.
sure it's accessible to everyone. I covered all the issues I had. I'm happy to answer any questions or if there's any issues you have for me.
Stephen, anything from you?
No, we're good.
Anything you need from us, Bill, before I open it up for public comment?
No, I'm
Could you
good.
maybe just comment on the availability then of buildings this summer? And
Oh,
then-
yeah.
Sure, absolutely, good point. So, you know, both the Brown School and the Polson School will be doing asbestos work. So nobody can be in the building, no
Brown.
kids. Brown.
Yeah.
And Polson
Asbestos
will
work.
be doing asbestos and environmental work. It's not
Any place within the building, if it was one little corner, means the whole building is off.
limits for students. It's a safe, completely safe. We'll be monitoring it. Staff can come in if allowed by this, you know, but any construction site, you really don't want anybody here anyways. But it's a safe environment. It'll be monitored. But we won't allow students in here, it's just not
Yeah.
appropriate. So both here, and that's it. I mean, the other schools will be doing, you know, general maintenance and repairs of all our equipment and getting the schools ready for, we'll have a big furniture push for Jeffrey and some at Ryerson. And then we'll make repairs and do any others as needed for the principals.
Now, is Brown typically a site for summer programs?
Yeah.
So how's that gonna work this summer?
Looking like it will be at hand. And Ryerson has, being a small school, has a significant amount of classrooms that are air conditioned as well.
Okay,
So there's
this
some
summer.
opportunity. So I know Liz is finalizing that now.
And that asbestos work is the entire summer. But
Well,
the schools will be offline then.
it won't be the entire summer, it'll primarily be the beginning.
Okay.
So, but since we have the hallway has it,
That's
so
right.
we hadn't committed to the hallway yet, so I couldn't commit to the schedule. So we're gonna commit to it hopefully tomorrow. With moving the funds around. So then I could finalize the schedule and then we'll have to be committed, but once I didn't know the schedule, I couldn't allow them, I couldn't give them a commitment on time, so it's better to keep everyone out.
Yeah,
Will some of the, excuse me, will some of the line item funds be used in support of that? So I think that was one of the, yes.
Yes, it was.
That's great.
It was specifically one of the items.
Great, thanks.
that just made me think of, you told us whether I was doing some radon studies in some of the classrooms that happens every few years. Is that
Yes.
still going on or is that?
It was complete
Okay.
and there was no issues.
Great. Okay, I'll open it up if we have any public comment, any members of the public today who would like to make a comment? Anyone online, Wendy? No? Okay, seeing no public comment, we can adjourn. It's 7:11. We will stay tuned for our next extra meeting to be scheduled later this month, so stay tuned on that.